Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In my previous video, I have demonstrated how to install and configure Openshift cluster on your premises by using the bare metal systems. In this video, I am going to demonstrate how you will configure the Openshift internal registry for the persistent storage. Why the persistent storage is important for the registry, I will show you that one. You can see here, this is my one project. I have this project is called demo project, and in this demo project we have deployed one application. The application name is demo app 1 and the one pod is running. This is the URL to access this pod. So if you click here, your application is accessible here. That's perfect. When you will see here, you have couple of pods. So OC get pod, it will display the list of pods to you, but they are the Docker registry console and routers, because you are right now in the project name is default, but this project is demo project. So I would like to get the details of the project. So you can see OC get project and you will see there is a demo 1. So OC project demo 1, and now list the pods. So you will see there is a pod, this one, which is running. You can see here also we have the Docker registry. So whenever you are using the S2I concept to download the code from your Git and then the source to image, build the Docker image for you by pushing your code into it. So there is a image you will see here. So OC get is called image stream. So you will see here you have the demo app 1, and which is coming from your Docker internal registry. So if I go inside OC exec -it, and this is my pod name, I would like to get the bash shell, and it's in my default namespace or the project, and you are inside it here. This is the Docker registry where your all the images is going to be stored, and the location is /registry. So here you can see the Docker registry v2 and repositories. So here this is your project name, and inside the project name you have your image name. What will happen if this pod is going to crash, or maybe switch from one server or node to another node? So you are not able to get this image again, because as of now this particular a pod is not configured for the persistent storage. So this time is not restarted, but if this due to any of the reason, if this pod get rescheduled on different node, or the pod has been crashed or something, you are not able to get your images back. So most important thing is, first you have to configure your Docker registry for the persistent storage, so that if your pod has been crashed or rescheduled to different node, if you have multiple infra node, so you will not lose your images, because those images will be stored on the persistent location. So how you will do that, I can show you here. So you can see here OC get pod -n, it's a default project or the namespace, and if I do this OC delete pod, this one. I would like to delete this one, -n from this namespace. The pod has been deleted, but you can see that immediately the new pod has been created by the Openshift, because it is managed by the deployment configs and replica sets. So there is a concept to manage the desired state of these pods. So you can see here it's running, and let me go back to this pod and check the storage where the image has been stored. So here you can see ls-l/registry, there is nothing, because it was the ephemeral. So until unless your pod is not going to restart or something, you will get your images. But once your pod has been rescheduled or crashed, you will not have any images. And check it here. This is running, right? But you don't have the image. Okay, how you will configure your Docker internal registry for the Openshift for the persistent storage? Okay, so I will explain the persistent storage concept later on, but this time I am using the another node, because in my cluster right now, let get these details of the node. I have 3 nodes. One is the infra, one is the node 1, and one is the node 2, and master. So this is the master, and 3 nodes, these are the worker. So I have the another node is called node 4, and which is going to act as a NFS, because this time I am going to demonstrate you how you will configure the persistent storage for your registry by using the NFS, right? So let's get started. So what you will do, I have the steps. I have posted those steps here, so you can follow. So here you can see you have the projects. You can get the details of the projects. You can get the details of the pods. Okay, but first thing you have to check the pod. Oops. I'm using the wrong system here. OC project default and OC get pod. So you need to check and verify that it has some the information or not. So what you can do, that you can use this command OC describe pod here, and this is the name of the pod. You can get the details. So it will give you the lot of the details here. So what the most important is volume. So you can see the volumes here, and the volume is saying registry storage. This is the name, and type is empty dir. It means it is the temporary directory that share a pod lifetime. So that's why your images is deleted from the /registry. Okay, let's verify. This is the name is mounted, or I can say the name is pointing to which location. So you can use this command OC set volume and the pod name. So here this, and my pod name this. So you can see the registry dash storage is pointing to /registry, but when I check it, it's empty here. It means it's a ephemeral. So if your pod got crashed or deleted or something, you will not able to get those images. So this is the way which you can do to verify the volumes in a pod. So what we will do, as we have seen that the registry dash storage is pointing to slash registry, but it's not using any persistent volume claim. So let's do one thing. We have the node 4 and where I am going to configure the NFS. So let's do the configuration of NFS. So we need to install the package nfs-utils, because note that I'm using the RHEL7 or CentOS 7. So you can follow the same steps on this OS. We need to install the NFS utils first. It will give you the NFS service functionality on this OS, and then I'm creating a directory here /share registry. I am providing the permission for other, which will have the full rights. I am putting this one into the export list. This you can verify that once. This is the network which is allowed, and my network is also 192.168.0, so that's okay. You need to modify this network range as per your network settings, or you can put here asterisk instead of this network address and bit mask. Now I need to start the service of the NFS. So systemctl start nfs-server. Need to enable this service, and let me check the status of this service. So it's running. Let's verify by using show mount -e, and it's saying this is the particular directory has been shared to this network. Okay, so up to here we are good. Don't be confused by using the NFS name, because NFS is just pointing the host name. It could be different on your system. Like me, I'm using the node 4 name here. So this is just for your indication. This is the NFS. Okay, let's come back to the master and get the details of the pod. So we have seen that you can get the details of DC. So what the DC is the deployment config. So you can see the Docker registry is the revision 1, mean it is deployed once. It is not reconfigured, or they have not changed anything. So it's a kind of like type of the deployment, how many number of times you have done the changes and deployed these changes on this OpenShift cluster. So this is the first time. Desired is 1 and current is 1. So this is your DC name. Let's create a PV. So how you will configure this NFS storage to your registry pod. So there is a concept is called persistent volume and then persistent volume claim. I will explain the concept later on, how the persistent volume and persistent volume claim works, but here you can see OC get PV. So there is no persistent volume and there is no persistent volume claims. So let's create a persistent volume for registry. So here this is the name could be anything. So here is the configuration. So the API is version 1, kind is persistent volume. This is the name could be anything, whatever the name you want to use, you can use that name. Here the spec, inside the spec we have the capacity. I'm using this storage as 5G, so it means 5 gig, 5 GB from the NFS store. So I believe I have enough storage on my NFS. This is the NFS, and here I am sharing the path. Okay, this is my path, and this is, so if you are not using the name resolve by using the host name or DNS or something, you can directly use the NFS IP address here. That's okay. Let me check where the IP address of my system. So this is the IP address 192.168.0.54 and this. So if you have the DNS or if you have resolved the host name by using etc host file, you can use the name, otherwise you can use the IP address. This is the claim policy, so I am using the recycle. So here there are three type of claim policy. One you can use recycle, one you can use retain, and one you can use delete. What the difference these three, I will explain these things in the concept of persistent storage, but this time I'm just using the recycle. It means if you are deleting your claim, or if you are no longer to use this persistent volume, so it will clean up the persistent volume data from the actual storage, right? If you mention here the retain, it will not delete the content from the volume, and unless if you are not going to delete and recreate the volume, you will not able to bound that particular volume. And if you mention here delete, it will immediately delete the persistent volume as well as the data. So this is the policy, and the claim reference name is this will be the name. I will use this name while claiming this volume inside my pod, and this will belongs to my default project, right? So all these information you need to fill inside it. Okay, let me go to save and exit. One more thing I would like to tell you here. There are things I have explained, like there is a persistent volume and there is a persistent volume claim. Please remember, persistent volumes works on the cluster level and persistent volume claims works on the project level. So you can have the multiple volumes. They are not associated any of the namespace or the projects, but in which project you want to use that particular volume, you have to claim it, and that claim you need to create inside the project. So for example, if you are inside the default project and you want to claim inside the demo one, so you have to create your claim in demo one, otherwise you will not able to bound it. I will demonstrate that one in the persistent storage concept. So this file has been created by us. So let's create the PV. So I can use this command. So instead of create, you can also use here apply. So if this particular volume has been created already, it will not give you any error. So apply is always a good thing to use as an option or as a sub command. So it's saying it has been created. So OC get PV, as I mentioned, doesn't matter you in which project you are, your persistent volume always works on the cluster level. But remember, your claim for the persistent volume always belongs to the projects. So that's why I mentioned default, because my registry pod is running in the default project. So if you would like to see this one again, you can see here, this is my claim name, and that claim can be consumed from the default project. Okay, so it's saying this is the recycle, and as of now this is available. It means it is available, it is not bounded to the any of the deployments or the pods. Okay, now let's get the details about the pod. So you can see this is the ID of my Docker registry pod. Get the details of the deployment config. So this is the deployment config, and deployment config name it docker-registry, and let's use this command. Okay, I will explain this command to you and what this command is saying to you. So what I'm doing here, as you know, my deployments is already running. So if you would like to modify the deployment config, you can do that one as well, or you can use the add-on commands to do the changes inside your deployments config, which is currently running. So what I'm doing, my deployment config is already running. I'm using the ad hoc command to do the changes in the running config. So OC sat volume, this is my DC deployment config, and this is the name. You can see here, this is the name in this project. So if you are not inside the default project, you can use here -n is the namespace. What you would like to do, I would like to do add, and I would like to do overwrite. Why overwrite? Because this is the name is already configured inside the pod. If you have seen the history here, you will see that this is the name. This is the name is already added. So I would like to overwrite this one. So overwrite, and this is the name with -t means type is the PVC, so is the persistent volume claim. This is the claim name. So this is the name which we have used inside the config file. You can see here. So this is the claim name. Okay. Then claim size. So this is the 5 gig, because here we have mentioned here 5 gig. So I am using the entire size. And this is the claim mode. So it's a read write many. Right. So read write many means there are things like NFS support the read write many instructions from the multiple node on this at the same time. You can also use here cluster FS, but in the case of like iSCSI or the block storage, they are just read write once or read many could be. So this is the type. So I am using the NFS. This is the the network file system, and support the read write instructions from the multiple node on the same time, right? So I'm just pressing the enter here. So I hope you have got the clear picture what this command will do. Once you apply these changes, it will say persistent volume claim, and this is, so you can see OC get PV. So if you see the PV here, it will say it is bound now. Previously it was showing like the available, but this time it's saying bound. Okay, now let me get the DC, and your DC will be changed. So it is a revision number 2, right? It's a revision number 2. Okay, it means you have done some changes in the Docker registry deployment config, and it's a revision number 2, and desired is 1, means one pod is should be running and one is running currently. Let me check the pod. So if you see the pod here, it says is running, but notice the ID. So here this is the pod. Before applying the persistent storage, the ID was 1-WP something, but here you will see it's a 2-J2. It means the pod ID is also changed. And remember that here you have 1, means this is the revision number 1, and here you have 2, it means it's a revision number 2, right? Here, so let me go inside this pod and verify that do you have the / registry. So it's yeah, and there is nothing as of now. Okay, let me go out. Okay, what I'm doing, let me go back to my console. I'm going in my default project. Here, let me delete this, or I can do one thing. Let me create demo2 project. Demo2 project. Okay, and now let me use this demo 2 and deploy the image by using the PHP. Next, application name is demo2 app, and here the repository. So which repository you would like to use? So here is my path of the Git. Copy, paste. Yeah, it's working, and now you can see demo2 is going to clone the Git repo and will push this code to the image, and that image will be pushed to your Docker internal registry, and then by using this image it will launch a pod to you. So I can see this particular things from here: OC get project, OC project demo2, OC get BC means build config, OC logs -f, and this is the name. Oops, I forgot to mention here BC slash. Yeah, so it's pushing. The same thing you can see here. If you would like to see the full, you can see the full here, full logs. So it's pushing that image to your Docker internal registry. This is the name of the project, and this is the name of the application, and its a tag name is latest. Okay, %98 complete. So 100% is complete, and same thing is here. Now go back to the overview and you will see it is going to create a pod for you. Yes, pod is running. When you click on this link, this time is not resolved, so let me copy this URL, go to my etc host file. So I will use here this name and this. Remember that the IP address is 192.168.0.53 is the IP address of my infra node where my routers and Openshift registry is going to run. Yeah, so it's running. Okay, let me check it again, and let me go there inside the Docker registry pod and see here registry, Docker registry v2, and here you have the repo. Here you have the repository, and you can see this is the name of the project and this is the name of the app, right? Okay, let me go out, exit, OC get pods -n default this, and I'm deleting this pod. OC, before deleting this one, I would like to show you here on NFS as well, ls-s/shared registry. You can see the same is available here. So if this pod is deleted, no problem, it will retrieve the image from this storage. So OC delete pod, and this is the name of the pod, -n default. Deleted, and now it is going to recreate it. You can see running, and if you check it here, the new ID is this. Now use this ID and go inside it, go inside the pod and verify /registry. Yeah, you can see. So previously we were not using the persistent storage because by default OpenShift doesn't use any persistent storage. So after the installation of your OpenShift cluster, first thing you need to configure the persistent storage for your registry, because if you are deploying the applications on the OpenShift cluster, and due to any of the reason, if your pod has been rescheduled, or pod registry container has been rescheduled or crashed, or deleted by mistaken, or something has happened to the particular registry pod, you will not able to get the images back from the internal registry. So this is the most important thing, right? Let me delete the projects, whatever the projects I have, because I don't need these ones. So if you delete the project, remember that everything will be deleted, whatever the services, whatever the deployment config, whatever the persistent storage and so on. So everything will be deleted, or you can delete that one by one. It's up to you, right? So if you delete the project or namespace, everything will be deleted from here. And let me verify again here, ls-l/registry docker, and this, and here you have the repository. Remember, still your images are in the storage. Image will not be deleted, right? I hope you like this video and the concept has been clear to you, why the persistent storage is so important for the OpenShift internal Docker registry. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next session.